Right then, let's get into the breaking news, the massive news. Various reports coming out at various credible sources, not a Fabrizio, not a David Ornstein, but the likes of Charles Dunker from the Telegraph, the Times. You have Jacob Steinberg, many other reports all saying that Erik Ten Hag will be sacked after the FA Cup final, regardless if he wins it or not. Not news you want to be hearing 24 hours before an FA Cup final or any final for that matter. It kind of demoralizes the team and even us as fans because, we backed Ten Hag and we expect him to be a long term. And we thought that Ineos would be different with the way that they are trying to get Man United back to the top. But they make a similar decision like the Glazers have in recent years, where when things are bad, we sack the manager, get the new one in, and then hope for some miracle bounce. And that might be there, but we needed to do things differently. Now, it's not official. No statement has been made by the club. No official statement has been made by Sir Jim and Ineos, but these reports are really damning. Throughout the week, you've been hearing different managers being mentioned and us having interviews with the representatives of certain managers, all leading up to a massive game for us. That, if you think about it, is a make or break in terms of where our season could be. I mean, if we win it, we're in the Europa League. If we don't, we have no European football. So to hear and to read things like this before the final is not good. And I know the players have read it as well. They're obviously on their phones. I mean, how do you prepare mentally for this game, but you know that your manager is not going to be there next season? Now, had they said it earlier and the players knew about it, like a Jurgen Klopp, like a Thomas Tuchel at Bayern, then maybe, you accept it. But for it to be leaked like this, not even an official report or official statement from the club, shows how bad Ineos have started their run. I mean, yes, they've appointed Omar Barada. They tried to get Dan Ashworth. Jason Wilcox came in, etc. But to completely blame everything and put it on the manager is wrong because it's not all his fault entirely. Some of the players are to blame. The medical staff, with the amount of injuries that we have had, the way the club has been run off the pitch, the lack of a winning culture and mentality that Erik Ten Hag was trying and is trying to instill, but it didn't seem like he really had the support of Ineos or Sir Jim because, yes, Sir Jim in an interview said that it's the environment, around the manager that needs to change because we've been sacking managers and that hasn't helped. But here they are doing the same thing. Yes, you think that the season has not been good, and he has been to blame for a few things, whether that be with the team, whether that be with his tactics, substitutions. Yes, Ten Hag has been blamed for a few things, but it's not entirely his fault, as I said. And for me, that has backed him up until this point, and I still back him. I still have optimism, and I believe that we can win tomorrow if we apply ourselves and if we fight. But knowing that he might not be here next season is a bit of a difficult pill to swallow because who do we replace him with? Now, Roberto De Zerbi is a manager that you could say has a chance with his links to Ineos. And of course, Dan Ashworth was the one who got him for Brighton before he went to Newcastle. Thomas Tuchel has a winning record, but couldn't do it with Bayern Munich in the Champions League or the league. And when he did win the league with Bayern Munich, he basically won it on the last day because Dortmund slipped up. Thomas Frank, Brentford, I don't think he's good enough. Kieran McKenna is the name that everybody's talking about, but he doesn't have experience at the top level. And him being an assistant to Ole at United is not enough to be a full blown Manchester United manager. Even though he has done good with Ipswich, I think he should take a job in the Premier League first before looking to take that step to United, if that does become an option for him. Pochettino is being linked to us since he left Chelsea, was linked to us before we even got Erik Ten Hag. There's something in that. Ineos wanted him at Nice, but he refused the offer. Of course, he was at PSG, you know. I don't know how we move forward from this point, because we would need to get a new manager in. And that new manager will want to look at the players, and certain players will get a second opportunity, a third, a fourth opportunity to stay at the club and show that they need to be part of whatever this project is. Whereas with Ten Hag, and the same with Ragnick, the same with Mourinho, they knew what players don't have the mentality to be at Manchester United. But the club, the Glazers, did not get them out. And now we find ourselves in the same position that we have been after seasons, where the manager gets sacked and that cycle has to restart again. And I name these players, the likes of Rashford, Shaw, McTominay, Maguire. Okay, Martial's leaving. Sancho could be coming back if Ten Hag does get sacked after the FA Cup final. And that is something that should not happen. Forget about him disrespecting Ten Hag. He disrespected the club and should not be allowed to play for Manchester United again. Mason Greenwood, where does he stand? He might get an opportunity to come back. And that in itself is an issue as well. I, for one, certainly don't know where we're going to go with all of this. I don't know how we are going to approach tomorrow's game. We know how City is going to play. For me, I mean, the starting 11 Ten Hag has to go with the strongest possible. Now, it has to be Onana in goal, obviously. You're going to put the low left back because we don't have any other left back. Wan-Bissaka has got to be right back. Varane and Martinez have both trained and should be starting. Martinez should be starting. Varane, I'm sure, his last game for Manchester United, he will want to start this game and give his everything. You have to have Mainu and Bruno in midfield. And then you have a dilemma between Amrabat and Casemiro. Who do you go for? I would go for Amrabat. He shows a bit more legs. He's a bit more defensively sound. Yes, Casemiro, we know his quality, but he hasn't been that Casemiro for a whole season. And in the final, yes, experience counts for much, but against City, he hasn't shown a very good performance in previous games. So you go with Amrabat, who can track those runners, who can block those back passes and those cutbacks that City like to do. He can certainly, stay and marshal, the midfield and the defense in between Martinez and Varane. So I would go with Amrabat, Mainu, and Bruno. Up front, Hoyland, of course. On the right hand side, you're going to have Ahmad. Ahmad deserves to start this game. And you go Garnacho over Rashford. Rashford hasn't shown anything with the games that he came on against Newcastle and against Brighton. He's not part of the Euro squad. So, his confidence is not that high. So you bring him on in the second half when City are a bit more tired, when we are looking to play more on the counter attack, because that's the type of plan we're going to have. We have to play on the counter attack. If we are going to try and play out from the back, we're going to have to do it extremely well in order to play through City. And if we do play long balls over the top, when we counter, the likes of Garnacho, who's extremely direct, and Hoyland would love that extremely. And Ahmad, we know, can play in between the lines, and he will want to get the ball to his feet. So tomorrow is going to be overshadowed by Ten Hag, that is potentially going to be sacked after the game. And the players need to give everything for him, for the club, and for themselves. We need to win this game. It's more than just taking revenge because of last year. It is us trying to set a precedent, us trying to make a statement for the next season. So this game, it's going to be here. It's not nice to hear that Ten Hag might be sacked, but we have to be mindful that this is the reality that we are facing. He hasn't had a good season, and I was of the mind that if he does get sacked, I'm not surprised. But to hear the news 24 hours before the final, that is what is disrespectful. That is disgraceful. That is not the way Manchester United are supposed to be doing things under a new ownership, so to say. So Jim have made a mistake, will be making a mistake by sacking Ten Hag. But as I said, anything can happen. Anything can change. So we will see exactly how we approach this game tomorrow, what the mentality is from Ten Hag and the players. But we need to back the manager. We need to back Ten Hag, because there's no one else out there right now that is better than him. And there's no one else out there that could have done this season what Ten Hag did with the team that he had, with the injuries, with all the setbacks. I don't think any other manager would have been able to handle it other than Ten Hag and what he has done. So we'll see what happens this weekend, but I do hope and pray that we do get a win. I don't care if it's 1-0 and it's the dirtiest win ever. Just go out there, fight, show some passion, and get that FA Cup on the red side of Manchester and show that Manchester United and Manchester is and always will be red. Thank you for joining me in this topsy-turvy video. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Let's hope that we win the FA Cup and that we are there showing some passion. And those who are going to be at Wembley, you definitely have to give your everything. And I know that they will. So enjoy the weekend, enjoy the game, and hopefully we come out on the other side as FA Cup champions. And for me personally, I hope that Ten Hag does not get sacked, despite the reports that are out there. We have to back the manager to the end. Thank you for joining me. Have a lovely weekend. Bye bye, Red Devils. Till we see each other again. Thanks for watching. If you want more content on Manchester United, like, share, and subscribe.